All right, welcome back, guys. Season 3, Episode 3 of the Immigration Status Podcast. I'm Myron Turner. Thank you for returning and continuing to watch and continuing to click play. Appreciate everybody out there from wherever you are in the world watching and listening. Big thank you to our sponsors. That would be the Navigators. That would be the Ministry of Ethnic Communities and also Campfire Studios. Thank you so much for this amazing facility, for allowing us to have this podcast on a regular basis. Today we're talking to someone from Tehran, Iran. Tune in. Welcome to the Immigration Status Podcast, and thank you so much for doing this. This is a big passion of mine, and I love having people on with such rich cultural backgrounds. It really means a lot to me to be able to talk to people from all over the world. I feel a little bit like privilege, I'm like traveling but not moving, so it's really cool. So yeah, man. So I just wanted to ask you just a couple of questions around, why New Zealand, of all places to migrate. You've been here for 10 years. And yeah, it's one of those, it's a big move to jump all the way over the Pacific Ocean and end up here at the bottom of the earth. So can you want to tell me, how you ended up here?
Yes, but before that, I would like to start with a memory of Mahsa Amini, a young lady. She was only 22 years old. She was from a small Kurdish city. She went to capital city of Iran, Tehran, and she was arrested by the morality police just because her scarf was not covering all of her hair. And she got killed under custody. And ever since, it's like 3-4 weeks that the country is on fire. People are protesting, not for the hijab, not only for this case, but because we want to change the fascist regime. And ever since, hundreds of people have been killed. And right now that we are talking, in the Kurdish part of Iran, they are still killing people.
Wow.
And last week, they killed about 80-something Baluch people, another minority ethnic group. So it doesn't feel good that I can do anything about it. All I can do that I talk about it here, that it gets recorded for the history.
Well, thank you, man. That's doing enough, just actually getting it out there. And what was her name?
Mahsa Amini.
Mahsa Amini.
Amini, yes. In the history of hashtags of Twitter, I think the biggest number before was 120 million, but so far I think she reached over 200 million hashtags. Just her name.
Well, yeah, definitely an honorable memory of her. Thank you for mentioning her. And I definitely will try to share something myself after this recording, because I actually wasn't aware of the situation at all. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, so you're here. All the way, in New Zealand, and I can see you're still very passionate about, about where you're from and your culture, and that's what I love about this platform. That's exactly what this is about. It's about giving so many cultures a platform and a voice here in New Zealand. So we've never really had this opportunity to have people from all over the world, different cultures, actually have a voice. Migrants who've chosen to make their home New Zealand. So by all means, continue to tell me why you chose New Zealand 10 years ago.
Well, the reason that I picked New Zealand, I was looking for an English-speaking country. My English was not that good, but I didn't want to start from scratch. And the options like America and Canada, visa was more difficult, especially these states, the most difficult for us after the hostage taking in 1979. It's not that easy to go to the States, and Canada was too cold for me. So the options
were
Australia and New Zealand. So I look at the universities, the price of New Zealand was slightly lower, but the chance of visa was higher, although I'm pretty sure I could have gone to Australia. But at beginning, I wanted to go somewhere English-speaking country and be able to get a visa. So New Zealand was the best option.
Okay. All right. Did you come by yourself?
Yes. I was studying engineering back home. I never liked it. It was not really my thing, but my family wanted to, and I didn't really have a goal. They didn't force me, but I didn't really have a goal. So I went for what they wanted to.
Okay.
And after like first year, I was sure that this is not what I want to study. And by accident, like I went to see my friend who was studying at Art Uni of Tehran, and he was studying in industrial design. So I was really impressed by his work and his class, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I started applying for New Zealand universities. It was rejected at first because they said I need to go to college for a year. And yeah, so I went to college for a year. It was supposed to be international college, but I was the only non-Chinese one in the class, which was a bit difficult to learn English. Like I needed to make friends, but all of the classmates were Chinese and none of them really wanted to make friends out of their community. But yeah, after 1 year I finished college, I went to Unitech in fact.
Yeah.
And yeah, I studied product design. I graduated 2016, and so much stories after that happened that I think we will get to that with your next questions.
Yeah. No, this is good. I was going to let you flow because I'm already sucked in. This sounds like a movie almost. This is like really eventful already. So you say you're still in design now?
I studied industrial design, but I thought after graduation I just need to apply for jobs. But no. A few months before I finished my degree, they changed the immigration law that before that, if you studied in New Zealand, just you needed to apply for jobs, and if it was in your own industry, the job offer, then you could get residency. But they changed the law, and it became almost impossible. Like all of the jobs I applied, I received maybe few phone calls.
Yeah.
And all of them, they were like, are you resident? I was like, no.
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry, we can't help you.
What was the time period here?
2016.
2016, okay.
17,
okay.
Around that. And yeah, so I kind of got a job similar to industrial design. That was a Italian guy who does cabinet. He doesn't do design at like the academic way we were learning design. But he was designing and making furniture all by himself, commercial furniture, like the interior design.
Interior design, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to work with him, and it was my very first week. I was carrying some timber, and I heard a click in my body and a massive pain. And I was telling everyone I'm in pain, and everyone was like, oh, just you are not really used to physical work. Nobody took it serious.
Yeah.
After a few weeks, I was suffering, but I was like, okay, seemed like that's how physical work is like, so I was not complaining.
Yeah.
Then my body deshaped, and I went to Auckland Hospital, and like usually I know they take hours to come to you, but they took MRI, and after 10 minutes, I saw a team of doctors around me, and they say, we see a malignant tumor in your bone. So when I was carrying the timber, just because of the weight and because that was a pre-existing tumor there, it broke the bone. So it was not only a broken bone, also some sort of cancer that it was treated. Not that difficult, but for a year at least I was dealing with that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and at the time I applied for residency with my ex, who was my sponsor.
Yeah.
But I didn't have residency, so I had to go back to Iran for the treatment.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that because I actually had to go back to America for a medical treatment as well when I was in between the visa process. They don't play that at all. Like,
yeah, they charged me $10,000 for the MRI.
Yeah.
And I had to go back to Iran, and like for like 3-4 months I was there, but I came back with healing bone, like they had to get a graft from my pelvis, so I had 2 broken bones. Yeah, so for about a year after that, like because of the bones, I was not doing well, but yeah, I got back to life after.
Man, you need to get your your story published. Get it to Warner Brothers Studios or somebody, man. That is wow. Well, how are you? How are you physically now? Everything is okay?
I assume I'm well.
Yeah. You look all right. Okay.
Yep.
No, that's cool. That's cool. So look, the immigration process from start to finish, it sounds like it was more or less seamless. Would you say? You got the work visa. Everything was okay.
Well, I mean, I had some difficulty once my work visa was rejected because one document was missing from uni I was supposed to provide, and it was not that seamless. But after that, I was with my ex-boyfriend, and we had some difficulties to prove our relationship to the immigration. Like, I mean, it ended pretty well, but we had so much stress. The biggest problem was he was coming from a very Christian family. I was out to my family. I didn't have problem with my family, but the thing was I couldn't really share it on Facebook and social media because when I was planning to go every now and then go back home, and I could not really publish it because in Iran there is death penalty for homosexuality. Although we can talk about it later, it's not as simple as they kill gays. No, it's not like that. But
there's a death penalty for being homosexual.
Yes, I mean technically there is, and occasionally they do that, and they do so many horrible things. But the thing is, they don't look for gays. Like the thing is, you would not be considered as gay unless you go in public and say I'm gay. But if you want to fight for gay rights or like wants to open...
Oh, you start being public and kind of making a noise about it and there's a problem, but they're not hunting you down.
Even the government like blocked all of the famous social media. Only Instagram is open, and I think right now is not because of the big riot. But like Facebook, YouTube, all of them, we need to use proxy and VPN to have access. But gay dating apps have been open for a long time, and now they are restricted, but it's still easier to access to gay social app compared with like Facebook. Just because their policies, they want to say gays don't exist in this country, and if they don't let them to be on the apps, they will appear in public. So they prefer to keep everything just online. And like we have had like some parks and cafes that they were like no rainbow flag, of course, but usually gays knew that that's the place to go. But every now and then they close those places. It's not like a permanent thing. So, I mean, I have seen some apologists of the government of Iran who live in the free world, and they say, oh, like, it's technically homosexuality is punishable, but they don't do that. That's kind of correct. I mean, especially like in upper middle class and above is totally accepted. And like even gays, they buy a house together, live together. But the thing is, it's exclusively for upper middle class and upper class. Like lower class, they don't have such a thing. They might get killed by their family.
Wow.
They might get killed by the government, although like the number of execution for homosexuality is not that high compared with like other Sharia law execution, but it's still horrible. Like I'm not saying they don't do that. Definitely they do, but occasionally.
Man, look, man, I'm trying this is mind blowing. This is like overload. And we just got started. Wow. Did you say some actually get killed by their family?
Well, I mean, this is story. I can generalize it because...
But it has happened.
Yes, it was only last year. A guy that, like, when you look at his video, he looks so modern, like, so easy to feel sympathy with. Like, I mean, like, sometimes when I talk about ethnic minority of Iran, some of them, they are so poor. Like, for example, Baluch people. Last week, about 80 people were killed. But people didn't feel that much sympathy with them. But one young lady who was like Western people in Iran, she got killed. The country is on fire ever since. It's so sad that those that they are under discrimination, their voice is not that loud. But the guy that I'm talking about, he was an Arab minority, and he was going to get out of the country the week after. Yeah. Like he got his passport and he went to sell his iPhone to get the money to buy ticket to go to Turkey to join his partner. And on our military service card, like gays don't have to go to military service, but it goes under psychological problem. So it's mentioned on their card that due to psychological problem, this person has not been military service. So his brothers, his half brothers, they Googled and found out why he got the exemption from military service. And only 1 week before he was getting out of the country, while he was in the mobile repair store to sell his phone, his brother took him and they took him to a farm out of the city, and in the most savage way, they cut his head.
Oh my gosh.
And the worst thing, like that's another part of Sharia law, that if someone gets killed, the father is the owner of the blood. That's what they call it. So if the father says, I don't have any problem, they can just drop all of the charge. So the brothers killed the homosexual brothers, and the father, I'm not sure actually what happened. The father dropped the charge or no, but I assume in that religious conservative area, the father would not execute his other sons because they killed his gay son.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, just on that note, that's a really good transition into now we want to get a contrast of what your life is like here. I mean, you definitely painted a very clear picture of what life is like there. So what would be a big highlight of, you moving to New Zealand?
Well, I was from upper middle class and I've been traveling overseas since I was a kid. So most of things, it was not too new to me. Like, I can't tell I was surprised, I was shocked by something. I was familiar with how the Western world works, and that's what I wanted to. I wanted to get out of the Sharia law, go and live in a liberal country. But, of course, many things, like some minor and small thing and some major thing. Like, I remember one of my first nights, it was on a weekend night, it was February. I went to Queen Street, and it was shocking to me how drunk people were just screaming, jumping everywhere. Like, we do drink in Iran, although that's also punishable. But
Really?
Yes, it had 80 lashes. And I've been like overseas, I've never seen that wild behavior. But it was shocking to me that, wow. And I saw like police was there to... It was not even, they were not even getting involved. Just police was there. While to me, when I see police, I feel unsafe. Yeah, it's something that I've heard, especially from Iranian women, that in the country they have to cover their hair. It's not as extreme as you see on like Southern Arabic countries. Just the scarf is up to here, and it's still horrible, but fairly open.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. I mean, I'm not talking about all of them, but majority of middle and upper middle class, they don't like to wear hijab. Even if some of them even practicing Muslim, but just they are not big fan of. Even some practicing religious Muslim that they wear hijab, they are not supporting mandatory hijab. But anyway, like I've heard it from many women that they go overseas, they live for like maybe a few decades. Still, they see police car, they just look for their scarf that is not even there. They're not wearing the scarf.
Yeah, the psychological.
Yep.
So there's the freedom. So one of the main highlights was just being able to have this, see the freedom, see the fun, people having fun, people actually enjoying themselves in public, being carefree. That's wow. That's one of the things that I think a lot of us have been here long enough to take for granted. 100%. So. What about like a low point, like when you actually made that transition from, where you were, coming over here? Was it any point where there was like a little bit of a hiccup in the journey in New Zealand? Did you feel lonely, or was it anything that was like a low point for you?
Well, many things. Like job hunting was horrible here, especially with the immigration law changes. It was like, why I did that. I had a good life in Iran, and now I'm like even not employed, like
second guessing the move over here.
Yes, and like I was not buying furniture. Like I was like for very temporary lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I was not sure what's next. So many times I thought maybe it was not good idea to leave Iran or come to New Zealand, because I heard like my other friends in other countries, they could sort out their life faster than me.
Yeah.
So that was maybe the biggest question
Yeah,
for
that
me.
would
That
suck.
was the right question.
That
That
would
was come
suck.
to New Zealand or no?
Definitely second guessing. I think we've all had that. I definitely had that that feeling a couple of times. Because I think we've been here for close to the same. I haven't hit the 10-year mark yet. I think I'm approaching the 9-year mark now. But definitely. So, do you have any favorite holiday destinations like that you actually like to visit?
You mean in New Zealand?
Yeah,
or?
New Zealand.
I have not been in South Island. I would like to go there, but
Where have you been? Like, what's your favorite?
I really liked Wellington. I'm from Tehran, which is a crazy big city, like with all of the suburbs and the new cities around. It has about maybe 15 to 18 million population. So I'm really used to that environment.
Yeah.
And still after 10 years, I find Auckland depressive, that like after 8, 9, even in residential area, most of the lights are off. Like in the Middle East, life goes on until late, and I don't know how we manage it. Like recently, I've been in Turkey. On weekdays at like 11 at night, you see all of the malls everywhere is open and people are happy. And while here, everything closed, and only on weekend you don't see happy vibe. You see super drunk vibe. That's something that I miss about Middle East. Like even you might experience it in Europe. I've seen such a thing in Europe, but my experience in Europe was just tourist zone. But in the Middle East, just people are awake until like maybe 11, 12. And in Iran, working hours is even longer in private sex. And we have only 1 day weekend.
Yep.
And I don't know how Iranian do that, and even I used to do that. I mean, I was too young to. I was not working, but here, me after work, just I'm sleepy. I don't want to do anything. So I'm more like Kiwis, but I miss the vibe in the Middle East that people are happier and more alive until late.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Is there anything that, as a part of Kiwi culture, that you just feel like you couldn't wrap your head around? Something that it can be funny, or it can be something you still consider strange to this day? Anything that's strictly Kiwi that's just like, what is this?
Eating late, eating early. Like to me, summer, it does not make any sense. In daylight, I eat dinner. It's just, and it's something that people ask me in Iran, that is it correct that like in Western countries, people eat dinner at daylight, like 6 p.m.? Like dinner is 9 for us.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And sleeping early, although I'm now part of that, I sleep. Something I noticed recently, that while I'm working, like I usually have snacks and chocolate around me. And for my colleagues,
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, man.
But it's unusual for Kiwis. But in Iran, like even a friend of mine was saying that like her flatmate, they were talking for hours. And her flatmate and one of the friends of flatmate, and nothing was on the table in front of them. But we Iranian, we used to just nibble while we are talking. It doesn't make any sense to us without snacks and drink. We just talk.
That's awesome. So, all right. So as we come to a close on this segment, do you have any like immigration tips or tricks that you would give someone who wants to come over?
I usually say for those that English is not first language, just try to, at least at first, keep away from your own people. Of course, it's easier to make the bubble. Like, people have different experience and different reasons to immigrate. Like some, they are happy to just make the bubble, like bring their home country small version in New Zealand. That's totally fine, it's their right. But if they want to blend in the country and just become a Kiwi, Just try to make Kiwi friends at first. Of course, it's so difficult, like the cultural barrier. You don't understand the body language, their jokes, but that's the only way to learn it. Just you need to make Kiwi friends.
Yeah.
That's something I tell to all of my Kiwi friends, to my Iranian friends who moved to New Zealand. That's, I would say, the biggest tip.
Yeah, everybody says that.
Yeah, I think that's very common sense. Other tips, like, depends on the case. Like, for example, job hunting. Like, I've been helping as a professional job hunter. I struggled for years, so kind of I learned what gets you a job. So I've been helping friends, like, how to write their CV. But end of the day, just try to see what Kiwis do, like in all the aspects, not only language. Even like changing name, like if it's necessary. Like I didn't change my name, although I heard that will help. It was too late for me. Like I had my website, I had my email with my own domain. Like I usually recommend, if you want to live Middle East or any country you're from behind, is your name is just a word that you know they are talking to you.
Yeah.
But some cultures, they are strict. Even like I was telling to my family, my parents were pretty chill, but my auntie is a bit more conservative. And she was like, what's wrong with your name? Your name is nice. And I was like, my name is just a word. I don't really care about my name. And now I'm like, at this age, I need to find a name for my children. It's too late to change my name. But yeah, I would say I have a friend who changed her name in the airport. And it was successful. Like she never needed to sign anything with her real name.
Yeah.
So I even have told one of my friends that his name, he was moving to Germany. He looks so white, like blonde and blue eyes, but his name is super Islamic. And I told him, just change your name.
Just change
it. Will help you a lot.
Yeah. Well, look at that. That pretty much wraps up. Yeah, thank you for doing this. That wraps us up for the first segment. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into, just this conversation. I named this segment Tradition and Condition. And what I mean by that is, the conditions in New Zealand are so unique. And even now, being here as long as I've been, it's still very hard for me to kind of fully integrate. Like, I don't know anything about rugby still. I don't know anything about cricket still. Like, I don't know, like these conversations that happen on a regular basis, I'm still like, after all these years, I'm still kind of lost. So there's my traditions that I grew up in, and then there's the conditions that I'm in now. But I kind of want to talk about that complex intersection between, culture and tradition. So, and we've already kind of diving into that, like, dove into that, with so many different, so many different things. So I guess my question to you is, have you ever experienced a personal complexity, where you had to choose between, a tradition you grew up with or the culture that you're in now? Like, have you had any trouble in that integration? It's okay if the answer is no.
Well, I mean, my family was always secular. So it was,
okay.
I've never been really strict about tradition. Just the only tradition that always has been big for us is Iranian New Year, Persian New Year, Nowruz. And it doesn't have any religious meaning or background. It's just entirely just celebrating the first day of spring, 21st of March, which was opposite here. It's beginning of autumn here. So totally lose this concept. And so like the Nowruz, even the term of Nowruz means new day. So it's supposed to be everything gets new, while here is just everything gonna die. I mean, New Zealand doesn't really have autumn. Like the trees still they are green, but it doesn't feel fresh how I'm used to. Like, so I would say it's nobody's fault. It's just a geographical problem.
Yes.
That the new year that is supposed to be refreshing and everything going to be new.
Yeah.
The flowers, all of those things, we don't have them here. I would say because I have never been practicing any religion in my family or anything, or we don't really have any tradition. Maybe just one thing that we, to keep evil eye, we burn some sort of plant. I don't know what you call it in English. We call it esfand. It's just some belief that it keeps evil eye away. But here in New Zealand, if you do that, the fire alarm goes off. So you can't do that.
Well, what is it anyway? How do you do it?
It's a powder, not powder, but like maybe as powdery as sugar, and it's dark brown. And different ways to burn it. But what we do is something like a mesh sieve. You put some and you put it on the stove and just set on fire quickly. And it gives, I can't say it smells good like incense or anything like that. Just it has a weird smell. Like even once I did it and my ex was like, is that a drug? Like it was some smell that he had no idea what it can be.
Thought you're making crystal meth, huh?
Yeah, like he was like, what it's like, he had no idea. Yeah. And because it smells strange, it doesn't smell necessarily good or bad, just some strange smell. So something that I can say, usually back home we do it often, like at least a few times a week. It's believed, I'm not sure that's a real thing or no, that it is healthy as well, but I don't know. But overall in New Zealand, I've done it a few times. And another thing, actually, I've never done it and I wanted to.
Yeah.
Few days before New Year, we make a fire and we jump over fire, and that's a big cultural thing.
Yeah.
And the idea is you throw away all of the bad feeling and you prepare to approach to the New Year. And here, I couldn't really set a fire like how we do it back home. So I did it on a candle. So I was lighting a candle and just jumping over candle 7 times and wishing it purifies all of the bad thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. No, look, that's definitely interesting. So just if any, have you ever encountered or known anybody who was Middle Eastern to have any kind of cultural barriers, within the Kiwi culture? I mean, I know you mentioned before that, Kiwiism is liberal for the most part, but has there been any friction at all, or you kind of felt like it was just?
My understanding, no. Like,
that's awesome.
From what I've seen, I mean, definitely there are some not the best people out there, but mainstream of Kiwis are very liberal. Like when they are exposed to strange things, they never say why it exists. They just ignore it. It's not like they hate it or they disapprove it. They just agree that not everyone wants to have same lifestyle. So like I have exposed some sort of racism from Europeans in New Zealand, but from Kiwis I've never seen anything bad. I mean, my experience, and I believe that's the mainstream of Kiwis, that even if they are racist, like, okay, one thing that whenever I'm applying for flats, that's so difficult. Just I assume because of my name. While my ex was applying for the same flat, he was getting response.
What was his ethnicity?
White Kiwi.
And you feel like that's why he was getting a response?
Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, just they don't want a stranger. And maybe when they know me, they change their mind but when they see a strange name, they just assume that's someone totally different. They don't, my understanding again, they don't look at it as a good or bad. Just they say different, so it's not something like it doesn't match with the culture of the flat. But when they see, like I've never had any problem with Kiwi, like when they see someone is struggling on the street or in public, they would help. They don't look at their background, their ethnic or anything. But just they don't pick those that they are so different as their friends, flatmates. They just don't want to hang out with them, which is fair. We always look for the most similar one to be friend with or to live with, but which is totally understandable to me. even if they know me and they reject me, I understand it. We don't like everyone, of course. But they never question the right of immigrants in New Zealand. Like, as I was saying before, like I see like banners in these states sometimes, like the right wings, the radical ones might like carry the banners of go home, or I've seen it in Europe. But in New Zealand, I've never ever seen anything similar to that. Like nobody questioned that this is not your home. They all agree that New Zealand is home of everyone who find New Zealand as their home, but just they might not pick you as a friend.
Okay.
Which is fine.
It's just I'm listening to the dip in tone of voice when you say that. Like this is like
about the flat hunting especially, I struggled a lot, and a friend of mine said change your name from Sorab to Rob. And I saw the difference. Like when I was texting, Sorab was not getting any response, but Rob was getting. And when people were meeting me, I don't know what they expected Sorab would be like. But when I went in as a Rob, they were not even asking me where I'm from. Although my accent, my appearance was clear that I'm not a white Kiwi as a mainstream of New Zealand. But nobody was even asking. But the name of Sorab does not win, but Rob does.
So if I'm listening to you, would it be fair to say you 100% think that New Zealand is not a racist place, but the prejudice is there?
Yes. Whenever I say New Zealanders are not racist, like my Kiwi friends say, oh, like you don't hear the racist comments. I'm pretty sure like so much racist jokes, but it's never hate. It's just jokes.
Yeah, jokes are one thing, but then
and jokes, I know that jokes are not fine. Jokes can end up to proper hate.
Yeah.
But the mainstream of Kiwi, the racism is so mild, and I definitely say New Zealanders are not racist.
But there's a little bit of prejudice there. So when you prejudice, you can be accepting of all races, but at the same time, you can see a name on a piece of paper and make a decision. So because.
Well, once I was at work and my boss asked me to look at some CVs that they applied. And I was looking at some names that I'm not going to mention what country, but they were multiple letters without any vowel in between, silent letters without a vowel. It was so difficult. I was looking at it. I did not know how to read it.
Yeah.
And unconsciously, I was like, oh, difficult. But then I remembered my story and I was like, I should give chance to everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, that it is, but understandable, but it should improve.
No, that's actually that's a fair comment, and I think it's a lot to talk about there, which we don't have time to get into. But it's just really, it's been so amazing to get your story and get your perspective, because there's so many things that I didn't know about Iran and what's going on there, and the people whose lives are being affected, the people whose lives are being ended. It's I guess that's one of the things that, when you live in a Western first world country, we get so busy with our lives and we get so busy with, our lifestyle and our custom way of living that we unintentionally, have a blind eye to what's going on around the world in other countries like Iran. So thank you for just even, because you definitely enlightened me to what's going on there. And it's making me want to, at a bare minimum, research and find out a little bit more. And is it something we can do? Is it something else we can do? Those of us that in the media space that have platforms like this, because media is powerful. If we can get just a spotlight, just a small spotlight, on a situation like that. But I was going to ask you though, even with on that note, have you been able to link up with any fellow Iranians here in New Zealand?
Yeah, yes, not that many.
Not that many.
That's the thing about Iranians overseas. There are usually two groups. I can't tell all, but mainly those that, as I said, they bring Little Iran, and those that they don't want to do anything with Iranians. I try to be neither of them, but end of the day, kind of my lifestyle is closer to Kiwis or non-Iranians, although I have few really good Iranian friends. And I would say they are just like me. Like Iran is just a corner of their life. They still proud to be Iranian. They practice the cultural things, but they don't try to stick with Iranian lifestyle. But many Iranians, like, they just live only how they lived in Iran. They kept everything like that. So I was worried my first few years to not become like them.
Yeah.
Because it is substitute from everything. Like, even their jobs is usually in the community. They don't improve their language. I didn't want to be like them. But yeah, I have some, like, few to several friends. Only with few of them are close. But yes, I have some links.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's good. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share?
No, but again, I mean, I want to ask everyone who hear my voice to raise their concerns about Iran. I mean, pretty much I'm sure not many of the audience have heard about Iran, but like last week, 50,000 Iranian and Canadian in Canada, they had a protest and asked their government to do something about it. We cannot expect the Western countries to do something directly, but when the internet, they fully turn off the internet when the riot goes high. So just do something about it. Like with the Starlink, like last week, Elon Musk says he's going to provide free internet for Iran, but it's going to take a few years. Just try to make it like a deal to your government to help Iranian. Hundreds of people are getting killed and thousands have been killed in the last 43 years. It should stop.
My God. Well, yeah, I definitely will research and try to figure out anything we can do to just enlighten people about what's going on, because you've blown my mind tonight for sure.
A few years ago, 3 years ago, we had a big protest, and within 3 days, they killed 1,500 people.
Jeez.
And something that usually...
But why are the killings happening?
That time, without any notice, they raised the fuel price 3-4 times more. And I mean, it sounds ridiculous if I say from like maybe 3 cents, they increased it to 10 cents. But labor class would make few hundred per year, and about 2/3 of it goes for rent. So imagine for entire months, you have $100, and like meat is like maybe $10 per kg. So they aren't eating nothing, just bread, the labor class. And that big jump of the fuel price was a big shock, and people were just angry. And they killed, and one of the only Western leaders who supported us, the rest of them remained silent, unlike this time, was Trump. He was the only one who supported us.
Well, I did vote for Trump. You know, that's an unpopular opinion, but that's for another podcast, another day.
Yep.
No, but look, I appreciate your time today. We're out of time, but yeah, I definitely have been enlightened today, just by you, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and
thank you for having me here.
You definitely will touch a lot of lives, for those, especially in your culture, who will watch this and listen to this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Okay, wow. My mind is literally blown. That was an amazing, enlightening episode. I just can't. I'm actually overwhelmed with emotion just thinking about all the things that I just learned. Big thank you to our guest today for sharing his story. Also, big thank you to our sponsors. That will be the Navigators Group, Uranga, Campfire Studios, and the Ministry of Ethnic Communities. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to do this. Such a privilege to do this. So that was season 3, episode 3. And we will see you guys back on episode 4. I'm Myron Turner. Tune in next time.